think that capitalism today is certainly reaching its limits, and probably has been for some time now. So questions about what we value need to be at the heart of deciding what capitalism is replaced with. So for instance, if we value biodiversity, protecting our beautiful and also incredibly useful and life-giving trees and plants and wildlife and insects, if we treat the earth as what it is, our animate home, then a capitalist system which exploits it while calculating carbon prices, I don't think can be the future.
Pessimistically speaking, we might be heading for a long period of increase in inequality, and then throw into that the issue of climate change. So that might be the ultimate break to that system, not because of some internal mechanisms of society, but because nature and the planet itself is going to put a stop to it. Clearly, there's room for organizing both the private and the public sector in different ways that would avoid the sort of bleak, inegalitarian and highly concentrated and ultimately destructive of the environment.
Right now, we do not have a global institutional order capable of exercising that imposition of values and principles, of rights and laws and institutions on global capitalism in order to tether it to global economic growth in a way that produces equality and inclusive prosperity and sustainable growth. For the sake of democracy, for the sake of humanity, global capitalism cannot continue to careen into the future untethered by the values that most people hold and most people want to see applied to our global institutions.
My work for 20 years has been based on watching how the effort to concentrate capital in the hands of financiers was destroying the physical infrastructures on which we depend as human beings. The rule of the American capitalist has been catastrophic for the world already. And we are on the verge of major breakdowns of systems. The longer the present system remains in place, propped up by the various institutionalized lies of neoliberal economics, the more likely that we will cross that precipice.
What is really interesting is that after 2008, countries such as China or other emerging markets started to question, how much does the West really have to teach us, to teach the Chinese and the Indians and others based on their capitalistic societies and systems, which is the one that has brought down the world in a financial meltdown because of the wrongdoings of irresponsible financiers.
The attempt to reconstruct a system of pseudo-unregulated global capitalism began only in the 1970s with waves of privatization, deregulation, and austerity. That system never fully matured, and it has already collapsed, first in the financial crisis and now in the pandemic. So the question of its survival does not arise. The question now is, what should be built in its place?
Capitalism, although it's dominant and is, seems to have spread all across the world, it's just one way of organizing human activity. And throughout history, it's always existed alongside other ways of organizing our collective lives. So even today, if you take a look at it, a lot of your activity, maybe even most of your activity, isn't structured directly by capitalism the way that we've understood it. So for example, families or your interaction with the government, broadly non-capitalist institutions.
Where there really is a problem is that when we sort of set up all of most of our productive activity on the base of private property. And we've kind of got these little dictatorships where people with their business, their property, are supposed to be able to do, whatever they want. Then that creates a real obstacle to any sort of rational collective action. And a lot of the sort of economic transformations we're going to have to carry out if we want to, maintain a planet that can support our civilization, are going to require large-scale, rapid, coordinated transformations of things like our power system, our transportation system. We're going to need different land use patterns, denser cities, and it's very hard to do that on the basis of individuals' profit-seeking behavior.
The scope of individual choice has changed over time and will continue to change over time because technology changes and is dynamic, and technology shapes for what kinds of items, goods and services markets exist and do not exist. And similarly for private property and the kind of things that we can choose as individuals. I think attitudes toward questions like that will evolve over time. So the nature of capitalism, as I like to define it, will evolve over time.
What really matters is that we have a system that changes, that is open to innovation, that holds governments to account and prevents the concentration of power. That's true of the democratic systems, but it's also true of capitalism. And it's the best way of ensuring accountability under the rule of law, because the law, certainly in common law countries, the law provides remedies for transgressions, and that's very important.
And actually, I have the argument that capitalism is now at the, if you will, apogee of its influence. Now, we don't know if this is going to be global maximum, so it would go down from that point, or it's a local maximum and it can again go even higher. I don't see a serious ideological contenders to capitalism. However, I want to just finish with that note. I'm very much of the sort of historical school, in the sense that I don't believe there is a natural mode of production that would exist forever.